Is your drinking water safe? Hi, my name is Lorraine. I am with the Glover Agency in Fetton, Michigan, and I love to make videos that save my clients time, money, and hassles. But if you don't have a private well, you might want to just keep scrolling or maybe share this to somebody that you know that does have a private well. So, as a full-time realtor, when I come across an issue in a transaction that happens numerous times, then I try to look for a solution to that problem so that I don't cause my clients unnecessary money, time, or hassles. And in this particular instance, I actually did an informal survey of a bunch of my realtor friends, and I found out that this is a lot bigger issue than I thought it was. I thought I was just running into a few of these, but let me tell you my client's story, and that will kind of illustrate for you what has happened here. So I have a client who I sold a home to about 15 years ago. It's on a private well, and when they purchased the home, the water was tested. They moved in. They've lived there for 15 years. The kids are now all grown, and they want to downsize. I go out to the property. We get the home listed. They shared with me at the time that they had replaced the water softener, which removes iron and other minerals from your water. But they never filtered the water itself because it tasted good and it tested clean when they bought the house. So we put the house on the market and we get a buyer offer pretty quickly. And when the buyer does their inspection, they discover that there is arsenic in the water. And the EPA allows you to have 0.10 parts per billion in your drinking water. This particular home tested at almost twice that amount, or 0.19 parts per billion. So definitely they needed to be doing something to filter their drinking water. Well, when you're involved in a transaction, you have another person on the other side of that transaction who's the buyer. And the buyer has small children, and they're concerned about, can they bathe their kids in the water? Is it drinkable? And they want a full house water filtration system. Now, those can cost anywhere from around $7,000 to maybe $10,000, depending on where you live. And of course, my client on the other side is sitting there going, well, my gosh, we've been drinking this water for how long? They don't really know when it became contaminated with arsenic. It could have been in year 2 of them owning the house, or it could have just happened last year. They also didn't understand how it happened. So I set them down and explained to them how these things can happen. You see, in some states, there's a really high iron and mineral content in the water. And in Michigan, Massachusetts, and some other states in the United States, organic arsenic can occur. And it can happen because the water table, maybe the flow of your water has changed since you had your well last tested. If there has been agricultural or industrial activity near your home, that can change your water. Any drilling or excavating in the area can change your water. And also the maintenance of, and also an installation of your well, if it was not done properly to begin with, those things can also allow water to backflow into your well and cause contamination. Organic arsenic is not as dangerous as inorganic arsenic, or I guess man-made arsenic. So even though it is arsenic, it's an organic matter, and it doesn't have the same level of danger as if somebody put inorganic arsenic into a well. So there is that. And then also the drinking water being above 0.10 does require that you put something on the water to filter the drinking water. But the EPA allows 5 times that amount, or 0.50 parts per billion, for bathing, showering, and even brushing your teeth, because you're not ingesting that water regularly. So this arsenic does not seep into the skin, so you don't have to worry about bathing your children. Well, I did give that information to the buyer's agent to share with them, and then we countered back with a water filtration system at the point of use. So you've probably seen that. They have a little tap there next to the faucet in the kitchen, and you just get your drinking water from that. It's also was going to be hooked up to the refrigerator water and the ice maker, so any water that was ingested in the house would be clean. And really that's what is required, is that the water is potable. We made that offer and the buyers just couldn't get past that. So they decided that they wanted to back out of the transaction based on the water level. Eliminating the buyer from the decision-making process, you can actually save yourself some money, time, and hassle. So what I have been doing since then is whenever I go out to a home that's on a private well, or if I see any type of issue that I think might be a problem, I always point it out to them and suggest that they get it fixed prior to the inspection. Because at that point, they're going to get a request from a buyer of a specific remedy. And sometimes they're going to say that they want that done by a licensed professional. Sometimes they're going to want a whole water filtration system when a point of use would do. And what it does for us is it lets us know right off the bat that we've got an issue with the water that needs to be addressed. And my sellers have time now to go and check out the different types of remedies that can solve that problem without the opinion of the buyer. And so in this case, my client put a water filtration system at the point of use prior to listing the house, putting the house back on the market. And when they pull the drinking water test, it gets pulled from that spigot and saves them the hassle of having to make a last minute decision and figure, or a quick decision when they may not have all of the facts. It also saves them time and it saves them money. And the time factor came in, obviously, because it added a couple weeks to the whole process. When we lost the buyer, we had to get the water filtration system put in and then get the house back on the market. And it was another week or so before we got a buyer. So they lost a couple weeks in that process, but all in all, it worked out fine. But let me just tell you one caveat. If you do have a water filtration system of any kind, whole house or at your point of use, do not get caught with dirty filters, because that's basically going to take away any benefit that you're getting from filtering your water. I've actually had clients with dirty filters that the water came back contaminated with one thing or another from the point of use spigot for the water filtration, and it's turned out to be nothing more than a water filter. But in order to prove that requires another test of the water, and every test costs $250. So in order to save yourself time and money, be sure to be looking before you put your home on the market for things that might need to be addressed. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure that you share this video with somebody that you know and love that has a private well. And I'll see you the next time around.